I can see the fire in your eyes, burning like a hurricane blowing through the falling rain. I see you through the mask you wear, and I'll do anything to hold you near, 1,000 miles away from here. I see the fire in your eyes, you're burning like a hurricane blowing through the falling rain. I feel the rising of the tide. I will let this fire rain burn me through the hurricane. Ooh, hurricane. You were on fire when I met you, born with a longing for the open road. You had a hunger burning in your heart, enough to tear the world apart. We were like outlaws on the West Coast, leaving our footprints in the wet sand. Now our love is more like a remedy, and our world is a forgotten land. 'Cause I can see the fire in your eyes, burning like a hurricane blowing through the falling rain. I feel the rising of the tide. I will let this fire burning through the hurricane. One day with our troubles far behind us, we will look back at all we've been through. But baby, this love that we've been running on, it's not a love we should be running from. 'Cause I can see the fire in your eyes, burning like a hurricane blowing through the falling rain. I feel the rise.
Hello and good evening. My name is Steve Earle. I am CEO at Done For You Real Estate USA. I'm glad you could join us online. We have a small in-house crowd with us today as well. And today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Done For You Real Estate USA and what it is that we do and how maybe we might be able to help you in regards to real estate investing. So I think we're just going to go ahead and just jump right into it. We're going to probably be panning mainly to the screen throughout the evening so you can kind of follow along some of the things that I'm talking about. And if you have any questions while we go, feel free to email Carson. And do we have an email back there, Carson, by chance, that people can, or can they text into this?
They can jump on the chat.
Okay, so you can jump onto the chat, not an email. So go ahead and chat with Carson if you need to ask any questions. And my goal tonight is to keep this fairly brief. I know we're competing with the World Series tonight, so I really appreciate everybody who's online tonight. This must be really important to you if you're online and maybe you're kind of doing the double screen thing, watching the game and this tonight. But I'm going to try and keep this to 30 to 45 minutes. So DFY is Done For You Real Estate USA. I'm going to start off talking a little bit about our retirements. You know, we have a retirement system in our country, and for the most part, it doesn't work super well. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that's the case and how maybe real estate is one potential solution to help solve that problem. So today in America, oftentimes we talk about the American dream and how everybody has this goal of creating some wealth, some residual income. I don't think necessarily everybody wants or needs to be, a gazillionaire, but at some point in the future, people would like to replace their income and have that residual income coming in so that you could maybe go and do some of the different things that you'd like to do as you get older. But here's the reality. Less than 3% of our population today make over $300,000. That means 97% of our population makes less than $300,000, which means, we have to be super careful about how we invest our dollars if we're going to one day get to the point where, we can retire and have some income coming in. For example, here's just a few quotes from USA Today. Few workers are truly confident that they'll have a comfortable retirement. 60% of workers have less than $25,000 saved for retirement. I mean, my goodness. That's a tough statistic. And we're going to talk more about this concept that even $1 million may not be enough money to actually retire and have any form of a comfortable retirement. And I'll share with you why that is the case. Now, here's something that is kind of really mind-boggling. 2/3 of all people rely on Social Security for 50% of their retirement income. And 1/3, they're relying on Social Security for about 90% of their income. Now, when you take a look at this table, this is a table that describes what people lack in terms of their retirement, like at different ages, what you need to have in order to retire. So I'm going to jump ahead, take a look at this, but let's jump to somebody who's 40 years old. The median income for 40-year-olds in the United States is about $67,000. So based on how long you've been in the workforce, at this point, if you were on track for your retirement, you would need to have about $100,000 set aside that you've been saving throughout that period of time. But guess what? Only 20% of 40-year-olds who are making the median income have set aside $100,000. That means 80% of our country are behind. Let's jump ahead to 60-year-olds. 60-year-olds have a median income of about $60,000, and at this point, they would need about $260,000 put away. Only 26% of them have actually accomplished that. That's a tough thing to look at. I'm just going to kind of go through this. I'm probably going to skip over this fairly quickly. But if you take an individual who has an annual income of about $60,000 and they want to retire at age 65, and if they were born in 1957, which means they're about 50 years old right now, they would need about $216,000 having been put away, with the goal of having almost $500,000 put away. And then, earning somewhere between 7 and 10%, if you could find a place to earn 7 to 10%, you would have a retirement of about $55,000 per year in your retirement. Here's the typical retirement planning options as they currently exist today. So you have a 401k, you have the Roth 401k, traditional IRA, Roth IRA, simple IRA, and SEP IRA. Now, the contribution limits, you can see, there's all kinds of rules and regulations that govern these retirement type vehicles for investing. So a typical 401k, you can contribute up to $18,000 until age 50, and then once you pass age 50, you can contribute about $24,000 per year. It is funded by an employer, typically. An employer will match, and so that's a great benefit that oftentimes an employer will match that. Tax advantages, it is tax deferred. There are some possible income tax deductions. Liquid monthly dividends. This is a really important one. Most of the vehicles that are used to invest in for your different retirement accounts are invested in vehicles where there is no monthly or annual dividend, for that matter. It's all based on equity growth, and therefore it's 100% dependent on market fluctuations. And you have a projected principal growth of 3 to 7% based on the averages across the board that people's monies are invested in their 401ks. So you can take a look at some of these different vehicles, and I've just included a few of the really simple benefits of traditional retirement planning. Now at the very bottom, where the question marks are, that's real estate. So with real estate, there are no limits to what you can contribute to your retirement. I guess, I don't know if it's a drawback or not, but one specific thing is that it is self-funded. Your employer is not going to match your real estate investments. There are multiple tax benefits with real estate, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. In fact, it's something that I love talking about, because when you do a side-by-side comparison of a 401k or different types of retirement funds, real estate matches them and exceeds them in terms of potential tax benefits. Liquid monthly dividends. This is like my number one thing as far as real estate goes. And that is, with real estate, you have a monthly, and I'll call it dividend, call it cash flow. The beautiful thing about real estate in your retirement account is that you are building actual cash flow. Now let me ask the question, what is the definition of retirement planning? Well, my definition of planning for retirement is I want to replace my current income. Meaning, it's not necessarily that I want to, be super wealthy and just have, pots of gold everywhere. It's that I simply want to replace my income and be able to maintain my current standard of living. And with real estate, that's exactly what you're doing. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. But when you're investing in real estate and you have that cash flow, you can actually see the cash flow beginning to accumulate, and over time as you buy properties, and get to the point where you've actually replaced your income. And we're going to get very specific there. Is it dependent on market fluctuations? Well, the equity growth is dependent upon market fluctuations. However, the month-to-month cash flow, for the most part, is not based on market fluctuations. Now, when you take a look at projected principal growth, this is one of the huge things also, is that you're looking at 15 to 25% annual growth when you take into account the monthly cash flow and then your equity growth. So, is there a better solution? Are you ready to ditch traditional retirement planning and actually replace your income in approximately 10 years? So, DFY has become the number one solutions provider if you're ready to ditch traditional retirement planning and actually replace your retirement in about 10 years. Actually replace your income in about 10 years. That is kind of the thesis of tonight's presentation. Now, one thing that's important, and that is whatever vehicle you're using and whatever company you're working with, it's important to know a little bit about their history and what their clients' results are. So Done For You Real Estate has been in business since 2008. We've delivered approximately 3,500 investment properties to our clients. Our combined client equity growth is over $75 million. So we have about 2,200 properties currently under management. And when you take into account all those properties and the period of time that our clients have owned them, the equity growth has been about $75 million. Our clients have collected over $150 million in rents over those approximately 10 years. And this is probably my favorite statistic, because this is what our philosophy is. Our real estate is based on cash flow. On a monthly basis, our clients receive or is delivered to them in net proceeds. So not gross rents, but net proceeds, their take home of over $750,000 every single month. And we've done a little over $400 million in total real estate over the years. So how do we help you replace your income in approximately 10 years? Well, the first thing is that Done For You Real Estate, we create a custom game plan. Now, I'm going to get a little bit specific into real estate now. We've talked a little bit about retirement, the need to maybe change up the way we're investing in our future and in our retirement. And when you decide to use the vehicle of real estate, well, the reason why many people don't utilize real estate is, real estate can be painful. You got to have a lot of expertise. You have to know the market. It usually typically requires some down payment. It takes a team of experts. And there are a lot of difficulties if you try and do it all on your own. And so Done For You Real Estate has created a system and a process and a program that helps facilitate the investment of real estate to make it simple such that our clients have the ability to use it effectively as a vehicle for investing in real estate. And what's really interesting, just to give you a little bit of flavor, we have quite a few customers. We have over 1,000 clients across the United States. We have clients in almost every state in the nation. And if you take a look at our clients and who they are, there's only about 20% or maybe even 15% of our clients who are like diehard like real estate investors. And that's awesome. And we work really well with knowledgeable and educated and expert real estate investors. But that only accounts for 15 to 20% of our clientele. The rest of our clients, they like real estate, but they're not expert. They're not passionate about it. They're not reading books about it. They're not attending seminars. They just recognize that real estate is a really great vehicle. And they've wanted for a period of time, if they could have invested in real estate, they would have. And when they found Done For You Real Estate, they found in us the ability to utilize our program and our services in order to use real estate as an effective vehicle for investing in real estate. So we're going to dive into kind of how we do that as a company. So the very first thing that we do is we help our clients create a customized game plan. Now what that means is, if you talk to some real estate investors who have succeeded in real estate, many of them will tell you that when they first got started, they didn't even know why or how they actually succeeded at it. They just maybe happened to time the market right. They didn't know what they were going to actually do with the proceeds from the money. They didn't really have a plan in place. So one of the first things that we do when somebody comes to us and they've determined that they'd like to utilize real estate as an investment vehicle for their retirement planning is you get together with one of our project managers. And our project manager will sit down with you and create your game plan. Where based on your resources, based on your goals and your current income, we are able to help you create a plan that will, in about 10 years, replace your income. And it's a very powerful concept to sit down and take a look and see on a spreadsheet, here's how I can accomplish this. And then we lay out the basic steps to get started. We lay out what you need to be doing every 6 months. And so creating a game plan is absolutely one of our keys. So the game plan ensures that you're investing with a plan and on purpose. So next, we help identify markets that will create consistent and predictable results. That's one thing that can be tough in real estate, is having those consistent, predictable results. The reason why we're able to state that we have those types of results is because we have a very small box within which we invest. We invest in properties that are 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-car garages, always single-family homes. We do not invest in low-income housing. We don't invest in luxury housing. We don't do multi-family housing. We have found a box that works very, very well and very, very consistently. And so you get to that point where you can have those types of predictable results that you, for the most part, can count on. Now, it's interesting, everybody's familiar with the statistic that about 90% of all small businesses fail within the first couple of years. Well, that's the reality for real estate investors as well, unfortunately. A 90% failure rate. Well, over the last almost 10 years, we've been able to literally flip that statistic on its head. More than 90% of our clients succeed at investing in real estate, which means, there's a 10, maybe 15% area where our clients don't get the results that they were hoping for, that they expected. But it's pretty awesome that such a high percentage of our clients are experiencing the consistent, predictable results that we're talking about, where they're cash flowing 7 to 14% cash on cash. They're earning an annualized return on investment higher than 20%. And the cash flow comes, month after month after month. And so we find those markets and we invest in properties that over time we've found to work very, very consistently. So currently our markets consist of Indiana, Tennessee, Florida, and North Carolina. We've been investing in these markets for quite some time. We did help our clients buy about 1,500 homes in Arizona and Nevada. We don't buy there currently. In fact, we're helping our clients now sell off those properties, take the proceeds, do 1031 exchanges into our other markets. And it's working very, very effectively. Now, this is kind of an interesting statement. I kind of love this statement, but for maybe some of you, it doesn't make any sense. But the concept is we remove geography as a condition for investing in the best markets across the country. Now, what does that mean? For anybody who's done, much investing, it's typically pretty hard if you're kind of a one-person show to invest very far from where you live. One, understanding and knowing the market, being able to find the rehab people to do the repairs on the property, finding a trustworthy property management company, and just the ongoing efforts with the property is very, very difficult, even if it's within 30 minutes of your home. Well, we've figured out a system where all of our properties are hundreds, maybe even over 1,000 miles away from most of our clients. And in fact, most of our clients have not ever even physically seen their properties in person. Typically, they see all of the photos and so on, but they haven't actually been out there to see the property and meet the tenants. And there's actually a lot of pros to that concept. But we have removed geography as a condition for successfully investing in real estate. So the other thing that we do is pretty much everything else. We find the property. We help you purchase the property. We help you get the financing. We place the tenant, and then we manage the property. So we do all of that heavy lifting for you. So what you become really is the owner of the property and a true investor, where your investment in real estate doesn't end up becoming a job. It actually remains an investment in and of itself. And with our team of experts and professionals, our boots on the ground, and our teams here in our corporate headquarters, we facilitate the whole process for you. And it's become something that's been systematized and processized such that it just works time and time again. So the way you simplify the process of investing in real estate is you let the experts do the expert work so you don't have to. Now, some people, they've spent hundreds, maybe even thousands, and some people that I know personally have spent tens of thousands of dollars on real estate education. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of the education out there it's really quite awesome. However, unfortunately, that doesn't make it any easier to actually invest in real estate. One really well-known educator in real estate, after you receive his education, one of the first things he tells you to do, and I think it's a great idea, is he says you need to walk through about 100 homes so that you become expert and you know the values of real estate in your market so you can make a good decision on what property to buy. But I'm kind of thinking, who has time to walk through 100 properties and to become expert at that? Well, that's what we do. We're literally seeing 100 properties every single day. That's what we do. We're passionate about real estate. We're expert at real estate. We've been doing it for a long time. And so we do all of that for you. Now, the normal way, I'm just going to kind of summarize here. The normal way of doing real estate is, you pretty much are stuck for the most part in your own local market. You spend lots of money up front to learn, potentially. You spend hundreds of hours researching. I know a lot of people, I almost think that they're kind of addicted to, getting on Zillow and looking up values and looking at properties, and it becomes people's hobbies, and they literally spend hours and hours and hours every week researching and looking at deals and looking at potential properties. And then personally execute hundreds of steps. If you take a look at what it takes to go through the identification process of a property, making an offer, negotiating the offer, closing on the deal. Then once you finally close on it, you own the property, then going through the rehab process. Not only doing the rehab, but making the decisions as to what's going to be the most effective rehab to do on this property to get your biggest bang for your buck in order to rent it out for the maximum amount that you can. And then, you find it, you fix it, you finance it, and then you sell or you lease it. So the done-for-you model is we've removed geography as a condition. There are no upfront fees to work with us. You spend minimal time reviewing, and you personally execute about 5 steps. And we find it, we fix it, we finance it, we sell, and we lease it. And the results are consistent and predictable profit. And oftentimes, when you're trying to do it on your own, it can be risky and unpredictable. And nonetheless, there is potential for profit. Now, again, so at the end of the day, when you close on your property and we've helped you through the process, we end up, through our affiliate property management companies, we place the tenants and we manage your property and we help you create that cash flow. So earlier in the presentation, I was talking about the typical retirement. And this is an interesting thing because if you ever sit down with your financial planner, and they create some pretty extensive and sophisticated spreadsheets that show, hey, if you make this investment, put this much money away every single month and put it in this fund, and if it grows at a rate of X%, you'll have, and I'm just going to say $1 million. Okay, so let's say that you're doing that for, let's call it 30 years you're doing it. Let's say you started when you're even 30 years old and you're retiring at age 60, so you've been doing it for 30 years, and you've been putting away this money. The typical retirement scenario is that you're just putting that money in. And at home, you can raise your hand or you can, just say to yourself whether this is the case or not. But do you see any cash flow from that money that you're putting away every month? You typically don't. When you're investing in the stock market and in many of the different market vehicles, you're building the main source of growth in your account is the money that you're putting in it. And then on top of that, you're earning, some form of equity typically. And so the only way that you see growth on top of the money that you're putting in it is as the market goes up. And over time, historically, you look at the stock market and it's gone up. But it does this, right? The whole time. So ask yourself this question. Let's say that you're now at the age at which you want to retire. How do you access that money? The only way to access it is to sell some of it. So what you have to do on a regular basis, you have to sell. If you have this pot and it's this full of wealth, each month or each year, you're selling some of it off, right? And you're selling it and you're using it up. And if you've done your retirement planning correctly, you're going to die the same month that you run out of money. That's like the ideal scenario, right? Well, there's a massive flaw with that concept. And that is your basis, what you grew over all those years, you're now spending it down. Now, here's a really unfortunate scenario, and this is the case. I mentioned to you that the market constantly does this, right? Well, so if you happen to hit the age of retirement when the market is up and you're feeling like, I got $1 million, set aside. And so you start, and now you're drawing down on it. And then all of a sudden, what happened in 2008 happens again, and the market tanks. And all of a sudden, what was $1 million drops down to half, to $500,000. You've now cut your retirement plan in half. But here's the other question. Let's say that we don't see a massive drop in the market again. Let's just say it just goes through the normal fluctuations and you're way up here, but then there's a market correction. Let's say it only drops 10%. Well, your $1 million just dropped by $100,000. And you don't have the ability to not keep drawing down on it. So as the market continues to do this, and you're not putting more money into it because you're now retired and you don't have that income, you're living off of this bucket of money. It's inherently flawed in the concept that you're saving up and now you're spending all of it down, and you relied 100% on equity growth to fund your retirement. With real estate, with cash flowing real estate, the beauty of it is that along the way, you're receiving monthly dividends. Now I'll call it's your rent check, right? Now real estate's no different than the stock market. Over time, real estate does this, but it also has these swings. But the beautiful thing is even when the market is down, if you were cash flowing, say $500 a month, and the market corrects dramatically, guess what? You're still cash flowing $500 a month. And when the market goes way up, you're still cash flowing $500 a month. So every month, you're adding additional money into your retirement account just from the cash flow. And at the end of the day, here's the beautiful thing. is that when you retire, the goal is that you own your properties free and clear. And so at that point, guess what? Your properties, they continue to grow in value. And you continue to receive that monthly cash flow. And so you're not drawing down your pot of real estate. In fact, it continues to grow whether you like it or not. It'll continue to grow. And because real estate rents are tied to inflation, real estate is one of the best hedges against inflation. So as inflation goes up, what happens to rent? Rent goes up. I remember when I moved, when I was young, just got married, we rented our first apartment for $315 a month. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment. And now that same apartment, I guess 25 years later, it rents for about $850 a month. Well, the owner of that apartment had a 30-year loan on that property, and his payment stayed at whatever it was, the $200 a month that he was allocated to that apartment unit, and his cash flow has grown like this, and so he's making more and more and more, and his cost is fixed, and at some point, that in 5 more years probably, his entire payment will go away, and 100% of the rent coming in will go to him minus the basic expenses to maintain the apartment. That's the power of real estate. That's what we help our clients do. So in the statement that DFY is the #1 solution to help individuals replace their current retirement planning with a system or with a program that actually replaces your income, that's what I'm talking about. That's the power of real estate and the power of doing it consistently and predictably. So I kind of basically talked about this. I got ahead of myself as far as the slide here. So you can see how the market, the typical market, you don't have the monthly cash flow, and at some point you start drawing down on it. With real estate, you can see you have the liquid monthly cash flows, the equity growth over time. And one thing that I didn't talk about too much are the tax benefits. And then, of course, the hedge against inflation. I want to talk just a minute about the tax benefits. Yes, a 401k and IRA, they have some really impressive tax benefits. There's no two ways about it. And it can be, a way to defer taxes and so on if done properly. Well, real estate has some built-in opportunities. One of the first ones is if you own your property for a period of time, and let's say that you have some growth in the market, and it makes sense to sell that property to take advantage of the equity, you can take that capital gain. Let's say that you bought the house for $100,000 and several years later it's worth $150,000. So you have a $50,000 capital gain. Well, you can reinvest that $50,000 into another like property. And when you do it the right way, that $50,000 is not taxed, the taxes are deferred. And so the growth on your investment, this nest egg that you're building of real estate is growing and growing. You get to grow it tax deferred just like a 401k or an ROA or an IRA. Now, of course, you're going to be paying, regular ordinary taxes on ordinary income on your cash flow. But that's what happens when you make money, is that you get to pay some taxes. Now, one of the benefits of real estate as well is that you get to create a business. The moment you own one property, you are in business and you are a business owner. Now, all of a sudden, you and your significant other, you own this property, you create an LLC, you guys are business partners, and guess what? A lot of things become tax deductible. And you get to treat your property like a business. And there are many tax advantages to owning real estate. And so not only do you get to take advantage of the appreciation, but you get to take advantage of the depreciation and then all of the different tax benefits based on the expenses that you can expense as a business owner. Now, and I keep getting ahead of myself, so here's the slide on the 1031 exchange where you can buy your next homes until you replace your income. This is something that we do very effectively. Carson says we have a question.
Yeah, we have a question online about how you arrange the property management out of state.
Okay, very good. That is an excellent question because I will tell you that property management will either make or break your investment. And property management is the key to owning successful real estate, especially when it is out of state. So we have created relationships over the years in each of our markets where we don't own the property management companies in the different markets where we do business, where we do real estate. We just have a very close relationship with companies that work with us. They know us, they understand our system, and they understand our clients. And now here's the beauty of it, is DFY is the 600-pound gorilla, meaning most of our property managers have hundreds of properties with our clients. And there is an extra measure of accountability with one of our clients compared to, say, just one individual who owns one home or just a couple of homes. So we're often on the phone with our property managers. We do training and ongoing relationship management and so on. And when there are issues and we need to get involved, we get involved. And our property managers are awesome. But when we get involved, they're very good about taking care of our clients and making sure that they bend over backwards for them. Now, the biggest thing is that if you're an out-of-state investor and you're just on your own, it is very, very easy for you to be taken advantage of because you're not there. It might be 1,000 miles away. You can't just, very easily show up when there's an issue. And so with our people on the ground and the relationships that we have, we've had excellent success with our property managers. And we typically have 2 property managers, sometimes 3 in each of our markets that we're working with. And our property managers literally have hundreds of our clients that they're working with. And so that's really the key to our successful effort to manage the properties properly. So hopefully that answered your question. If it didn't, feel free to elaborate on your question. So that's what we do. Now the question is well, what do you have to do? Because if this is your investment, and let's say that you're not like a gung-ho real estate investor and you just recognize that real estate is a good vehicle and you would like to participate and make it a part of your retirement portfolio, well, what do? Well, you'll meet with your property manager every 6 months. Now, the first thing that you do is, prior to this, is you'll get a game plan with your property manager, your project manager. All of our project managers are here in our corporate offices in Orem, Utah. So you'll meet with a project manager, you'll get your game plan. Once you have your game plan, then your next step is to get pre-qualified. If you're not paying cash for a property, if you're paying cash, you just need to show proof of funds. And then you're in the queue to buy a property, and we begin presenting you with properties. If you're going to be financing, then we get you pre-qualified. We verify your 20% and all of your total out-of-pocket expenses. Once you're pre-qualified, you're in the queue and you start getting properties to look at. And when you see one that you like in the market that you want to be in, you make an offer and we move forward. Once you have a property or your first few properties, under your belt, what do you do after that? Well, you're going to meet with your project manager every 6 months. And the reason why we like our clients to meet with our project managers every 6 months is your personal situations, they change all the time. And so we need to be reviewing constantly what's happening in terms of your financial situation. We also want to review how your property has been performing. What that does is it allows you to make decisions and changes in the way it's maybe being managed, or maybe we need to have a conversation with the property manager, or maybe the cash flow is a little bit more than you expect, or maybe it's a little bit less. We take a look and we see exactly what's happening. And then what we do is we update your game plan. So maybe you're able to purchase that second property a few months earlier, or maybe you're going to have to push it out a little bit. But what it does is it keeps you on track and in the know and moving forward in making your decisions to make this happen. And then in the meantime, you interact with your property manager as needed. You're welcome to contact and work with your property manager whenever you have an issue that you'd like to talk about. So really the key is to stay engaged and realize that you're in the process of a long-term plan, and it's not a get-rich-quick concept. It's over time. You're just building the cash flow based on your properties. I want to back up for just a minute, because one of the most critical things is this concept of taking that first step to see if you qualify to work with us. The way that we do real estate is it's not creative real estate. It's not no money down real estate. This is very straightforward. I sometimes call it, like long-term boring real estate because, you really don't have to do a whole lot, but you do have to have the ability to move forward. You need, a 20% down payment. So our average total out-of-pocket cost to get into one of our properties, your 20% down payment, closing costs, and so on, is about $40,000. So sometimes it's a little bit less than that, and sometimes it's a little bit more than that. It also depends on what market that you're in. And so if you have that for down payment and you have good credit, 680 or better credit score, and you have verifiable income, then you're able to get qualified for a loan. You put the two together, and now you're pre-qualified. And that's a really exciting step because that's when you get what we call being originated. So when you're originated, you now get to start looking at properties. You're in the queue to see what's going on with live deals, and you get to take your pick of the properties that are available. So that's kind of the key is getting that done. Carson, can you tell me what's the time? I want to make sure that we're
6:40.
Okay, 6:40. So my goal is to be done here in 5 to 10 minutes at the very most. So that's the key. So for instance, here's a prime example. You have the Hackett's. Both Bill and Debbie they're doctors. They've had pretty good income throughout their adult lives, and this is kind of a typical scenario with our clients. They're doctors and they're very busy, and they've always understood the power of real estate, but they've not been able to do it because they've been too busy and they haven't had the time to become the experts and so on. But in a very short period of time, they've purchased 4 properties around the country. They have, they started out with 4, now they have 7. And I know that they're talking to their coaches on a regular basis about moving forward with their real estate investing. And the beautiful thing that they're seeing is they see that cash flow increasing. And it's a fun thing to have been in business now for nearly 10 years and be able to back up and take a look and see out of all of our clients, it's not just all projection anymore. We're able to look and see at our clients who have actually made it happen. We have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of our clients who have executed and made this actually happen. Now, I had a really good question this afternoon from someone who I was talking to about DFY. They said, so, how do you guys make money? Because, you're not doing this out of the goodness of your heart, right? I said, absolutely not. We are a for-profit company. And so I described to him how it is that we make our money. And I'll end kind of on this note. And that is, we are a transactional company, meaning we make money when you successfully invest in real estate. So we own a real estate brokerage. We own a property management company. We own a mortgage company. And we own an insurance company. And we also have an entire acquisition team who are purchasing properties at auction in many of our markets where we go in, we buy the property, we rehab it, and then we resell it to our clients. Now, it's not the typical investor who's trying to make $20,000 or $30,000. Our average profit on the flips that we do, that we deliver to our clients, is about $5,000. And we're totally transparent and willing to share with people that that's our average, increase on properties that we flip, because all of our properties are appraised. When people get loans, the lender requires an appraisal to ensure that they're worth what the client is paying for it. And so that's our third-party check and balance. So sometimes it's less than $5,000. It's about an average of $5,000. And so we make a little bit of money there. We make money during the transaction of the deal, and we charge either below or at industry standard rates. So our clients are getting the benefit of having an experts all in-house. Everybody knows how to help the client, and they're moving from one step to the next almost seamlessly. And that's where we make our money. Now, there is one fee that we do charge on every single property. We charge a coordination fee of $3,995 on each property that our clients buy. That's included in the total out-of-pocket on each pro forma that goes along with each property that we present before a client. So it's not some outside fee that's kind of an extra fee that's not calculated into the overall transaction process. It's right there, it's transparent, and you only pay it if you transact. If you come and you work with us for 3 months and we spent 100 hours with you and at the end of the day you don't buy anything, you're not charged anything. So our goal is to facilitate and help our clients successfully invest in real estate. That's how we make our money. So the journey to replacing your income in approximately 10 years begins with a 10-minute conversation. I would like to invite you to email gameplan@dfy-realestate.com. And when you email us and request a game plan, we'll schedule a time for one of our project managers to give you a call and spend initially 10 minutes with you to kind of see where you're at. And if it looks like we might be a good match, then we'll schedule a 1-hour meeting with one of our other project managers who will give you a full-blown game plan where you'll get a spreadsheet and the plan and everything in place. And if after that it makes sense to you, then we'll take the next steps after that. So my invitation to you tonight is to go ahead and email gameplan@dfy-realestate.com. I really appreciate you being here tonight, taking the time in your busy evenings and learning a little bit about Done For You Real Estate. We love what we do. We love our clients. We appreciate every single one of them. We do our very best to help them succeed because it's all about the results. So thank you and good night.